Gemini, 2024 is a year about personal development, point blank, period. I feel like it's gonna be one of these years where you're asking a lot of questions. Questions like, who am I? What do I want? What do I like? You're also gonna be asking questions about the people around you. Are they really your friends? Do you really fit in? Or is it time to find a new place for yourself? It's a year of questions, and that kind of is right up your alley since y'all are curious and inquisitive as hell, right? But these are important questions that will shape not only who you are, but who you are becoming. So if you want to know more about what 2024 has in store for you, stick around. You definitely don't want to miss this. Hello, my loves. As always, I hope that this video finds you well and in excellent spirits. If you are new around here, welcome. My name is Mel. I'm a professional astrologer and I'm the founder of divinefeminineworks, where I help people unlock their divinity and discover their magic. And as always, if you are returning, welcome back. So welcome to my 2024 Astro Forecast series. So I wanted to preface this video by letting you know that all of these videos, all 12 of these videos, are done by a rising sign, because that's what's going to give you the most accurate astrological information. Now, if you have no idea what your rising sign is, first thing you're going to want to do is check out this video right here that explains everything about your big three, including your rising sign. And then the second thing you'll want to do is go to a site like astro.com or astro-seek.com. All you'll need to do is put in your birth time, location, and date. And when it comes to the time, you're going to want to be as precise as you possibly can, because that will give you the most accurate information. You're going to put in those three things. You will get a natal chart generated for you, and your rising sign will be labeled as the ascendant, either the AS or ASC. That way, you'll be able to check out the video that is just right for you. All right, so without further ado, let's get into it. So if you watched my 2024 general yearly forecast, and if you haven't, no worries, the link is in the description box below. I talk about 4 topics that are going to transpire for all of us this year. And those topics are expansion, evolution, relation, and conservation. So first and foremost, let's talk expansion. And this has everything to do with Jupiter, since Jupiter is getting ready to make a major move this year. So in 2023, Jupiter first moved into Taurus, and this is your 12th house of rest and relaxation. Now, Jupiter is the greater benefic. It is a planet that bestows positive energy. It's about good luck, good fortune, and abundance. And I don't know about you, Gemini, but I'm pretty sure that when you think about these things, you're not necessarily thinking about rest, are you? However, I feel like with Jupiter entering your 12th house in 2023, you may have found that taking it easy is actually where the abundance lies. And it's not even just about taking it easy. It's not just about rest. It's not just about sleep. It's about inner introspection. And with Jupiter in your 12th house up until May of 2024, this is kind of the activity that you should be engaged in. And that may be a little difficult for you because, if I'm honest, Gemini, you guys have such a very youthful energy, almost like a toddler, right? The last thing that a toddler wants is nap time, usually. A lot of times toddlers are forced into nap time. They like to run around, be curious, and be in all the things. However, Jupiter in Taurus is like, if you will just power down for a bit, do some introspection, think about some things, you may discover that the answers that you're looking for everywhere else is really within you. Jupiter in your 12th house almost has a spiritual element to it as well. There's something about it that really speaks to faith. It really speaks to faith in the unseen. And again, your inner being, right? And that is where your abundance lies while Jupiter is in Taurus, okay? And this is where the expansion happens also. Everything with us is an inside job. And Jupiter in Taurus is really showing you that, or at least it's trying to show you that, if you will sit still, right? Now, while Jupiter is in Taurus, Jupiter will conjunct Uranus. And this may be an aha moment for you. This may be a come to Jesus moment for you. This may be a time where you are spiritually enlightened, or even more likely, spiritually awakened. Now, imagine being dead asleep and then your alarm clock going off, right? You're awake, but it's sort of abrupt. That's how this Jupiter-Uranus conjunction in your 12th house of Taurus may feel. And this is going down in April, on or around April 20th of 2024. So around that time, prepare to be jolted awake, perhaps, right? But understand that this jolt of energy, this come to Jesus moment is full of hidden gems, all right? And those gems will begin to materialize, especially once Jupiter moves into your first house of Gemini come May of 2024. Now, this is going to be about a personal expansion for you. Like I said, Jupiter is all about good luck, good fortune, abundance, expansion, and growth. Now, on a mundane level, when Jupiter moves into Gemini, you're going to watch your eating habits because Jupiter and Gemini in your first house could mean you get bigger. It could be putting on weight. For women, it could mean getting pregnant. But Jupiter in Gemini is going to give you a lot of new ideas. Seeing the world differently. The world is going to feel like your playground or your library at this point in time. And I love this for you, Gemini, because again, it's about personal growth and expansion. A growth and expansion that's begun in 2023 and that will flourish in 2024 into 2025. So remember, during this Jupiter transit, you really have to allow yourself to be taken out of your comfort zone. You guys are very analytical. You guys are very cerebral, right? But Gemini seems to be somewhat limited in thinking. And I don't mean, I'm not throwing shade on you or anything like that. It's that there's so much more to learn, not only of the world and of yourself. And I feel like Jupiter in Taurus and Gemini throughout 2024 is going to do just that for you. The world will be your oyster. Next, let's talk evolution. And this has everything to do with Pluto, as Pluto is getting ready to make a major move this year. Now, this year, Pluto is moving into Aquarius, and it's a huge deal because this is like a whole new era, a whole new ball game. It's just a whole new, right? We actually got a taste of this in March of 2023. So between March and June of 2023, Pluto dipped its foot into Aquarius just a little bit, right? And during that time, we got a taste of what is to come for the next 20 years. Now, for you, Gemini, this evolution really bodes well with the expansion and growth that you're experiencing via Jupiter. So Pluto going into Aquarius is going into your 9th house, and that is the house of expansion. It's the house of broadening your horizons. It's the house of new adventures. It's the house of things that are different from you, different cultures, different ideologies. It's long distance travel. It's higher education. Anything that gives you a greater perspective of life and of your environment is basically covered by the 9th house. And this is where Pluto is going for you. So needless to say, 2024 is definitely a year of expansion for you. Like I said, point blank period, right? Now with Pluto going into your 9th house, at least from January until September, as that will be the time where Pluto is there, this is going to be a time of transformation. Now, the 9th house is the 9th house is the house of learning, but not in the way that you guys are typically used to learning, right? Book learning, information, research, all that stuff. That's still kind of 9th house energy. However, 9th house is about learning through experience. It's wisdom gained through experience. And this is the area of life that's going to be transformative for you. So dare I say over the next 20 years, which is how long Pluto will be in Aquarius, I feel like you guys are going to have a lot more experiences that broaden your horizon. Maybe you have different spiritual experiences because the 9th house also covers spirituality. Maybe you're entering into higher education. Maybe you're going to grad school, law school, med school. And of course, this is going to transform your life forever, right? This is new ideologies, transformative ideologies that are really bringing out who you truly are, okay? And then Pluto is going to dip back into Capricorn one last time between September and November of 2024. And at this time, it's really going to wrap up any unfinished business and tie up any loose ends. Now, Capricorn is your 8th house of intimacy and shared resources. And this is the area of life that has undergone a complete transformation over the last 10 years or so. And so whatever is no longer serving you in terms of intimacy, whatever is no longer serving you in terms of shared resources, right? These things are going to be obliterated for good, right? Whatever stays in this area or these areas of life is going to stay into the future. And whatever is ending at this time is going to be wrapped up for good. It's a time of release. Don't try to hold on to what's trying to go. Let it go so you can start anew. But trust and believe. I feel like the last couple of years have been extremely transformative for you, and this is only going to continue into 2024. Next, we have what I like to call relation, and this has everything to do with the North and the South nodes. So in 2023, the North and the South nodes switched signs. They changed signs. They went from Taurus to Aries for the North node, and from Scorpio to Libra for the South node. So this Aries-Libra axis, where the nodes are, has everything to do with relationships. Aries is me, Libra is we. Hence why this theme is called relation. So wherever Aries and Libra are in your chart, these areas of life are going to have an undercurrent of relationship issues. Okay. So for you, your 11th house is Aries, and this is the house of friendship and goals. So you may find that as Aries makes its way through as the North node makes its way through Aries, maybe you're starting to meet new people. Maybe you're starting to interact with new people. Maybe you're starting to associate yourself with new groups, new ideologies that are more in alignment with who you are becoming. Remember, I said you guys are really experiencing a lot of personal expansion, growth, and development. And maybe the friendships that you had were not exactly in alignment with who you are becoming. And I feel like Aries North node is going to have you feeling a little more selfish, a little more desirous of people who resonate on the same frequency as you. Okay. And then that means that Libra is your 5th house. And the 5th house is the house of romance, of dating, and of children. So with the South node in Libra, this is clearing house with respect to relationships that no longer resonate with us, relationships that are unfair, relationships that are not equitable. They're kind of being eviscerated, or we're given a choice to really walk away from these relationships and walk towards the relationships that are more fair and more equitable, right? Now, for you, this may be in the dating arena. Perhaps people that you're dating are not necessarily in alignment with who you truly are. I think maybe your ideas about relationships, romantic relationships in general, may be changing. Perhaps there are relationship patterns that used to align with who you were, relationship patterns that you relied on that you're realizing don't necessarily fit who you are becoming. And I feel like the South node going through Libra is really going to help you get clear on who's for you and who's not for you, essentially, okay? Now, you're going to want to pay special attention to the eclipses this year, because where the nodes are where the eclipses occur. And so these eclipses are directly going to affect your friendships and your romantic partnerships, or your relationship with your children if you have any. So keep that in mind as 2024 progresses. But either way, with the nodes in 2024, it feels like a year where you're trying to figure out where you fit in and where you really may need to stand out. Next, we have what I like to call conservation. And that has everything to do with Mars, specifically Mars going retrograde. So Mars does not go retrograde every year. It goes retrograde about every 2 years. And when Mars goes retrograde, this is a time when we physically rest. This is a time to reflect on the energy that we've put out there and see what comes back to us. This is a time when we don't start anything new, when we don't take on new projects, we don't start new initiatives. We really just chill out, all right? And so when Mars goes retrograde, it will begin its retrograde cycle in the sign of Leo in December of 2024. And then into 2025, Mars will retrograde back into Cancer. So for you, Gemini, Mars will begin its retrograde period in Leo, which is your 3rd house. This is the house of ideas, communication, learning, commerce. The 3rd house is the busy house. So I want to say that by the end of 2024, it's going to be a time for you to really power down. This is not the time to be trying to ramp up your sales, not the time to be taking all the courses, not even the time to really be talking to people, being social, being communicative. The third house has very much the same energy signature as the energy of Gemini. So it's almost like at the end of 2024, you may not necessarily feel like yourself. You may be feeling like you need to withdraw a bit. Maybe it's time for you to not do the most. This is going to be a time when you definitely don't want to multitask. Like this is going to be the time when you literally just chill and reflect. If there's one thing about you guys that you guys can definitely do, it's think and reflect, right? So with Mars retrograde in your third house, this is going to be a time to think about, all right, where have I been scattering my energy? Where have I been multitasking? And has that been fruitful for me? Is it in alignment with who I truly am and what I truly want? That's going to be, or those are going to be the questions you're going to want to ask yourself in December of 2024. Then in January of 2024, Mars is going to retrograde back into Cancer, which is your second house of money and material possessions. And at that time, this is not the time to make any big ticket purchases. It's not the time to, it may not even be the time to get a new job, get a new income stream. You're just going to want to chill and reflect on where have I been spending my money? Money is currency, right? Currency also has a lot to do with our emotions, our values. Where have you been spending that energy? What effort have you been putting toward those things? And has that effort come back to you? And has it come back to you in a way that you ultimately desire? The end of 2024 is going to have, actually 2024 period is going to have you asking a lot of questions, but the end of 2024 is going to have you answering those specific questions. But remember, with Mars retrograde, it's all about conserving your energy. All right, next up, let's talk a very popular topic, which is money. So in order to ascertain your money situation, there's two houses we're going to look at. The second house of personal finances and material possessions, and your eighth house of shared resources and debt, all right? So for you, Gemini, your second house of personal finance is Cancer. And like I just mentioned before, Mars will be retrograde in Cancer, and that's going to be the time when you don't want to do anything new with respect to money and finance. But that's actually not going to happen until January of 2025. So apart from Mars going retrograde, there really isn't anything popping off in the sign of Cancer this year. So we look to the ruler of Cancer in order to ascertain what your personal financial situation is going to look like. And the ruler of Cancer is the moon. So there's two things you're going to want to keep in mind all the time, actually, when it comes to your personal finances, but specifically in 2024. Number one, you're going to want to follow the lunar cycle, meaning that you want to know when it's a new moon, when it's a full moon, when it's a waxing moon, when it's a waning moon. You may find that your financial situation ebbs and flows like the tide and is really connected to the lunar cycle. So this may be the year where you really want to start tracking the lunar cycle and perhaps making financial decisions, number one, based on your intuition, and number two, that are in alignment with the lunar cycle. When we follow nature, things tend to flow in our lives, and this may have everything to do with your cash flow this year, okay? The other thing you're going to want to pay attention to when it comes to your personal finances are the eclipses. Because the eclipses has everything to do with the moon, whenever they occur, they directly impact your second house of money and material possessions. So pay attention to the eclipses and be observant with respect to what happens around the eclipses, because the eclipses, like I said, are going to directly impact your personal finances. All right. So keep that in mind. Now, when it comes to your shared resources and debt, we look at your eighth house. And for you, your eighth house is Capricorn. So there's two things you want to take note of when it comes to shared resources and debt. And when I say shared resources, I say loans. This means loans. This means resources that you may share with a spouse, like a joint bank account. It could be a mortgage. It could be an inheritance. It could be tax issues, right? And this is also the house of debt, of incurring debt, okay? So for Capricorn, like I mentioned before, we actually have Pluto dipping back into Capricorn between September and November of 2024. And at this time, when it comes to your debt situation or your shared resources, whatever is not of your highest good, you'll have to release. So this may be a time when you are paying something off completely, or maybe you're restructuring your debt, you're restructuring your shared resources to move into a new cycle, okay? So between September and November, expect some activity. And whatever this activity is, it will likely be of a profound and or permanent nature. So keep that in mind. It's not to scare you, it's just to get you prepared, because whatever's going to happen is going to close business pretty permanently. Okay. Now also, the ruler of your 8th house. Capricorn is your 8th house. The ruler of Capricorn is in Saturn. Saturn will be in Pisces throughout 2024. Now, this means that you have the ability to make dreams come true if you are willing to put in the work. So if you have financial goals, maybe financial goals that you share with your spouse, perhaps if you have financial goals to pay down debt, right? Or maybe you have financial goals to raise business funding or business capital. You're going to want to set that vision, envision it, hold that vision, and do whatever work is necessary to facilitate that vision. In doing so, you will have tangible results when it comes to this area of your life. All right. But by and large, I feel like 2024, when it comes to your money, it's going to be a year of stabilizing things. And I also feel like it's going to be a year of going with the flow. All right. Next up, let's talk another popular topic, which is love. So in order to ascertain your love life for 2024, we're also going to look at 2 houses. The 5th house of romance and dating. This is going to be the house where if you are dating or if you are uncoupled that you would look to. And your 7th house of commitment and partnership. This is your marriage. This is your committed relationships, right? Looking at these 2 houses will give you a complete picture of your love life, generally and in 2024. So first, let's look at your 5th house. And your 5th house is Libra. So I already mentioned this before. The South Node is making its way through Libra. So you may find that when it comes to your romantic or your dating life, you're either letting go of certain partners, certain dating partnerships, or certain dating habits, right? It's not just relationships that we're always concerned about. A lot of times it's the underlying habits and patterns that tend to be reflected in the partners that we choose. So with the South Node going through Libra, this is going to be a time when relationships, especially romantic ones in which you're dating and having fun, if they're not equitable, if they're not fair, and even if they're not beautiful, I think that the South Node is getting you to relinquish them. Certain relationship patterns, especially if you're someone who's been dating a lot or frequently in the recent past, I feel like the South Node in Libra is really just going to clean house with that. And whatever patterns you have, right? Because again, the patterns that we have are reflected back to us in the people that we choose. Libra is going to have you confront you. Well, I should say the South Node in Libra is going to have you be confronted with people who may not be treating you fairly. Romantic relationships that are one-sided, so that you can realize what the pattern is and relinquish it for good. All right. So there's some changes going on in your romantic and dating life this year, right? And it's really important that you let these changes happen. Don't try to hold on to what's not working. Don't try to hold on to who is not for you. Let go and allow the universe to align you with people who represent your authentic self and your authentic values. All right. Then next up, we look at your 7th house of partnerships and commitments. And for you, your 7th house is Sagittarius. Now, there isn't anything major going down in Sagittarius this year, so we would look to the ruler of Sagittarius to determine what this area of your life is going to look and feel like this year. And the ruler of Sagittarius is Jupiter, okay? Jupiter is getting ready to make a big move. So Jupiter is currently in Taurus. So with Jupiter in Taurus, it's really getting you to understand what are your values? What are the things that you value in partnerships and marriages? Work on that. Reflect on that. That is where your abundance in this area of life lie, okay? Then when Jupiter moves into Gemini, your sign, you're going to want to pay extra attention because this is going to put the focus on you. Remember I said before that this is a very expansive year for you guys. This is a year full of personal development. And not only are you experiencing that personally, but that's going to be reflected back to you in your committed relationships. So whoever you bind yourself to, whoever you commit to is really going to reflect who you are. And if you're already coupled as you're going through this personal transformation, does this relationship and does this person, do they reflect who you are becoming? Are they developing with you? These are going to be the questions that 2024 is going to ask of you. Very deep, okay? Perhaps a lot deeper than you guys want to get this year or any year for that matter. But this is a year of expansion for you. And since relationships are a reflection of ourselves, your committed partnerships and your marriages, do they reflect you? Or do they remind you of who they used to be? Very important questions that 2024 is going to ask of you. And last but not least, let us discuss career and work. So when I say work, I mean your 9-to-5 job or your daily activity. And when I say career, I mean your vocation, your calling, or your overall and overarching career. So again, to ascertain these areas of life, we look at 2 houses. We look at the 6th house of work. The 6th house also covers health, but that's not really a topic we're going to get into. And then we discuss the 10th house, which is your house of career and public life. So for you, Gemini, your 6th house is Scorpio, okay? Now, nothing extraordinary is going down in Scorpio this year. So we look to the ruler of Scorpio, or should I say the rulers of Scorpio, to ascertain what this area of life is going to look like. Now, Scorpio is unique because it has 2 rulers. It has a traditional ruler, which is Mars, and a modern ruler, which is Pluto. Now, Mars and Pluto happen to be doing some things this year. So first up, Mars. So Mars, like I said before, is going to be going retrograde at the very end of 2024. And that's a time when we don't do much. We chill. We don't start any new things. And so when it comes to work, understand that between January and the beginning of December of 2024, this is going to be the time when you're actually going to put in work. And this pertains to your job, like your 9-to-5, or just your daily activities. And then come December, when Mars goes retrograde, this is the time when you're going to want to chill, right? So this may be a time when you want to physically take a vacation. This may be a time when you kind of just want to rest and reflect on all the work that you've done throughout the year. Is it in alignment with your desires? Does it make you feel good? Any goals that you set, did you achieve them? When Mars goes retrograde, you're going to want to examine all of that, right? Then next up, we have Pluto. Pluto is getting ready to go into Aquarius in January. And so this is going to have a direct impact on your day-to-day activities and your job. Perhaps you're going to start to implement new things in order to do your job. Now, Aquarius has everything to do with AI. It has everything to do with technological advancement. So this may be a time when you start implementing these things in your daily activities or in the job that you perform or the services that you provide, all right? I feel like there's going to be this surge of newness that's very innovative and unique when it comes to your working life and your job. So you should be excited about this because I feel like it's going to be perhaps new gadgets that you're going to implement, new apps for productivity and efficiency that you can directly use immediately in order to work smarter and hopefully not harder, okay? Then we look at your 10th house of career and public life. And for you, your 10th house is Pisces. So there isn't anything necessarily extraordinary going on with Pisces. So, however, let me not say that. Let me backtrack. Saturn will be in Pisces all year. Saturn in Pisces allows you to see the reality of the situation. And if there are any goals that you want to set, so if you have any career goals, a new career trajectory, set those goals, envision you achieving those goals, hold that vision, and then be prepared to do the work. That is how you will make strides in your career this year. And you also want to look at the ruler of Pisces, which is Jupiter. Well, Pisces has 2 rulers, Jupiter and Neptune. Neptune is already in Pisces, so I'm really not going to discuss that. But Jupiter is doing some things for you this year, right? Like I said, Jupiter is helping to grow and expand you. And so you're not only going to see that personally, you're going to see it in your committed relationships, and you're also going to see it in your career. So this year, is your career reflective of who you were or who you are becoming? It's another question that 2024 is going to ask of you, Gemini, and I hope you're ready to answer because you guys are on the brink of really being a new person. And you're going to start to see that being reflected in various areas of your life. So when it comes to work and when it comes to career, I feel like there's this surge of new energy. With your 9-to-5, you're going to implement new ways to work. And with your career, you're going to start to see your dreams come to fruition and your career to reflect who you are truly becoming. All right, Gemini. So that concludes your edition of the 2024 yearly astro forecast. I sincerely hope that you were able to get at least one important piece of information that you can use moving into this new year. Now, if you want to know more about what 2024 has in store for you specifically, then you will definitely want to book my 2024 annual reading. So I take a look at your natal chart and I implement all of the transits of 2024 as they relate to your natal chart. I put this all in a beautifully written report so that you can reference it not only now but throughout the year, and it'll give you all the information you need to know to prepare and take advantage of the energies of 2024. Plus, we also have a 60-minute online consultation where you can ask as many questions as you want, and I pull cards from spirit. Trust me, honey, it is a whole vibe and it'll have you so ready for the year. All right, slots are limited. I will only be offering this service through the middle of January, so definitely sign up now. Link is in the description box below, and it is also tagged to this video. All right, my loves, I wish you nothing but the absolute best that life has to offer for 2024 and beyond. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have an amazing year, and I will see you in my next video. Take care.